This story comes from the Columbus Dispatch, and it's Ohio State self-reports 4 minor NCAA recruiting violations in football. Now, this is where I said our comments are going to get sarcastic, because obviously the reason we're bringing this up is because of the way Michigan has been treated through the NCAA investigation that they're going through. I want to say right off the bat, before we get too far into this, I actually think these violations aren't that big a deal.
Oh, yeah. No.
But the self-reporting part is what I think is actually kind of suspicious. But anyway, so Joey Kaufman at the Columbus Dispatch puts out this story, and it starts with the Ohio State Athletic Department has self-reported 4 minor NCAA violations in football since last summer, according to a document obtained by the Dispatch through a public records request. So they had to ask for it. The infractions, which occurred over a period of 5 months, all involved recruiting and ranged from contacting a player before he entered the transfer portal to providing a high school player with a photo edit following a visit. If you don't know what a photo edit is, we'll explain that in just a minute. They were all deemed a level 3, considered isolated or limited in nature, and the least severe level under the NCAA's structure, resulting in mild penalties. Only one of the 4 violations led to further action by the association after Ohio State took measures in the immediate aftermath. The first violation, actually, anything you want to say before we get into that first violation there, Mac?
I'm kind of reading ahead to prep a little bit. Like, obviously I already did my I already did my prep. Like, I know what I was going to say. I just needed a refresher.
All right.
But like, I'm getting upset rereading this article. So keep going.
Okay. Well, here we are. Okay. So the first violation, impermissible contact with a transfer. And I'm breaking these out of the article. This is not the entire article. So if you want to read the whole thing, go to the Columbus Dispatch and read Joey Kaufman's article. Impermissible contact with a transfer. An assistant coach called a player before he appeared in the transfer portal. The player had posted on X about his intention to put his name in the portal, but coaches can be in touch only once a prospect is in the portal. So again, as we said, these are kind of weird and maybe not serious violations, because it sounds like the kid was going to get in the portal.
Are you kidding? No, this calls into question the entire integrity of college football. This is an outrage.
Well, hold on here.
Freaking won an off-season national championship because of how great their transfer portal class is. Now there's an asterisk there. This is ridiculous. Fire everybody. Put him in the gulag.
Once he learned that the student athlete was not contactable, he ceased communications until the student athlete entered the NCAA transfer portal, the report said.
Doesn't matter. Waterboard him.
Well, okay. On a serious note, though, this is what I find funny, because it's like, oh, once he learned that he wasn't supposed to do that, he went, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to contact him. It's hilarious, because it's so much like I can very much see that they said, oh, you know what? Just go ahead and contact him, and we'll self-report and say we didn't know once we find out.
Yeah.
Which takes a level 3 violation, which is there's 4 levels of violations. So level 3 is pretty low, 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest. So it's down there on the scale. But by the same token, it's more the attitude of how they did this.
But we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but every single one of them is like this.
Every single one of who?
Every single one of the violations.
Oh, yeah.
Is responded to this way. Oh, we didn't know. How did they not know? Aren't they supposed to know the rules? Now, we can say that this is why the NCAA is such a mess, because they have so many of these rules, not unlike the U.S. legislature, where there's so many rules, you don't know if you're breaking the law or not. So I'll give them that. But
yeah. Well, that's what a bunch of people from athletic departments all over the country have been saying, is that there are so many rules that they don't know what is and is not permissible at this point. Like, it used to be that you'd have compliance officers that would tell you, like, don't do that, or yeah, okay, go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. But now it's gotten so complicated that the compliance officers are fairly useless, it seems like, at this point, I think, anyway. But I don't know. The way that I read this particular one was I saw a Twitter thread. I believe it was in reference to this, and it said that the coach that contacted the player in question actually had a prior relationship with the kid, so they knew each other. And so when the kid announced on Twitter his intentions to enter the transfer portal, the coach, it could probably, well, I'm not going to say probably, it could be that the coach saw that and said, "Oh man, I heard you're transferring. What's going on? You know, is everything okay?" Like that kind of thing. And oh, I don't know, maybe if you want to, we can talk about you coming to Ohio State or something like that. But didn't realize that he wasn't actually in the portal or something. I don't know. I'm trying to put a good construction on this because like we complained about how unfair the treatment about Michigan was during the sign stealing stuff. So I'd hate to then for this to happen to Ohio State and be like, yeah, he totally cheated. He absolutely knew what he was doing. And maybe he did. Maybe he did know what he was doing. And he thought like he could self-report it and that way look like he's, actually virtuous in the situation. I don't know.
Right.
But, innocent until proven guilty. So in the meantime, I'm willing to believe that this guy, because of the prior relationship that the one person on Twitter mentioned, can't remember who mentioned it, but I'm willing to believe that, maybe they just had a prior relationship. He knew the kid. And so he was just like checking in like, hey, what's going on? Everything cool?
So the reason it's a problem, the reason why this is actually a violation is because they are potentially influencing the player. So you have this possibility of a player goes on social media and says, "Oh, I'm going to enter the transfer portal." And then maybe under certain circumstances, he changes his mind. If the other team starts showing interest, they influence him to actually enter the transfer portal. So it's essentially, what is that? That becomes sort of like it's close to tampering, but it's not necessarily tampering because the kid at least said he had an intention to enter the transfer portal allegedly before anybody ever contacted him. So
yeah, and at least they weren't like offering him a dollar figure or something like that.
Right.
But actually, so John Wright here left us a chat, and he said kind of the same thing you did. He said every time Ohio State is accused of some violation. Oh, you pulled it up. Okay, cool.
I did,
of some violation, it's because they self-report, then self-punish. When OSU self-reports, it is their way of saying to the NCAA, you can see this, but not this. Yeah, that's not a bad point. I mean, yeah.
Well, and it kind of goes to that. Oh, we didn't know it was against the rules. It's that same vein in the same vein of it's almost a sleight of hand, which is what he's saying here. We're gonna show you these in hopes you don't look over here.
Yeah, and probably maybe that's enough for the NCAA to not investigate further. But I don't know. I don't know if there is a reason. I think it's really dumb though, because in this USA Today article I found about it, it says that schools are required to regularly report rules violations to the NCAA in order to remain in compliance. That's really stupid. Schools you are required to report when you do something bad.
Right. Well, here, let's look at. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to go to the rest of that slide, though. It led Ohio State to suspend recruiting activities for a week and reduce its in-person days and official visits by 4 and 3, respectively. The assistant also met with athletic director Gene Smith, and the school provided the rest of the staff with a letter of education on tampering and the newly implemented transfer windows. Neither the assistant nor player was identified. So it's it's reminiscent of the guy who makes the it's from The Office. Michael Scott makes a sexist joke, and the next thing you know, everybody's in what is that?
Sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. Yeah. That's what this amounts to, is sensitivity training.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I guess what I was wondering too is how much of this is, well, you know what? I'm going to hold that thought. I'm going to hold that thought till we get through the other ones.
Okay.
So the second violation was they provided a photo edit. I think I I have a typo there. They provided a photo edit, which is a violation. When Ohio State hosted a recruiting event, and this is where we're going to explain what a photo edit is for anybody who didn't know, which includes me when I first read this article. When Ohio State hosted a recruiting event, it drew dozens of high school prospects to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And if you're a programmer like I am, you just made that into the acronym WHACK.
There's like two people on the face of the earth that'll get that joke.
Got that, yes. The Buckeyes offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach provided a player's guardian with an edit that was taken by the creative staff as part of a photo shoot. But those materials cannot be given to prospects until they are juniors in high school.
That's really dumb.
It's very strange, but what a photo edit is a photo shoot. And apparently what has happened is it's not just so let's say Ryan Day, in this case, since we're talking about Ohio State, let's say Ryan Day visits with a recruit, or the recruit is it's okay on official visits, I think, but Ryan Day meets with the recruit and they take a picture, which you would think, okay, that's probably going to happen. Parents want to commemorate the event, even if they don't get recruited. It's like, hey, Ryan Day was at my house.
Yeah.
So you take a picture. So it's gone from that to literally the school will bring it, or whoever is doing it will bring in exotic cars, exotic animals. They will bring in other celebrity players, and they will set up this crazy photo shoot to, as part of the recruiting. And the reason it's a violation is because it's very much like the rule about scouting future opponents. It's because most schools can't afford that. Not every school can afford to rent a Lamborghini, let's say, and take it to the recruit's house.
But what does the fact that they're juniors in high school, why?
I don't know. That's another one of these weird NCAA thresholds. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're a sophomore, you can't show them a Lamborghini when they're a sophomore. That's bizarrely inappropriate. But when they're a junior, it's totally fine. Expose them to all the Lamborghinis you want.
Right. But the situation is, and in the other article that I read, a lot of who was it? A lot of coaches have said it's gotten out of hand and it needs to be stopped. So apparently this is quite the interruption. I don't know. It is weird to me. I think it's almost like one of those things where you have to be there to see it happen to understand how much of an interruption it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say they are. Okay. So I thought a photo edit was just like, how they have those photos of them, like their top, when they release their top 4 or top 8 schools. And then when they finally commit, they have this graphic and it's, like, keep hitting it, paraphernalia from the school and stuff like that. And it's all in this like cartoonized sort of photo type thing. And
that's part of it too. Yeah.
That's part of it. Okay. I thought it was just that.
Like, no, it's not just that. It's
not just that. Yeah.
Taking a recruit and putting them in uniform before they've actually committed and taking pictures and that kind of thing. And
well, if it's like a whole photo shoot where they've got Lambos and, I don't know, whatever else they've got going on in those photo shoots, which can get kind of intense, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not cool. I mean, these are kids. That's really manipulative.
Right.
Hey,
well,
man.
Yeah. And maybe that's why it's a violation.
Yeah. Okay. So I might actually agree with that one. I don't understand the junior threshold. Like, that's really stupid.
Yeah.
I think that should just be banned, period. But whatever.
If anybody out there watching understands the junior threshold on this, let us know. Drop it in the chat. The next violation was booster contact with recruit before a game. On the sideline before a game at Ohio Stadium in September, 2 unnamed boosters took a picture with the recruit and shared it on a social media website.
Oh my gosh. If you're going to break a rule, don't do it on camera.
Yeah, well, again, that is kind of a weird one, I guess, but boosters must hold some serious sway on these schools. And I guess that makes sense, because that's what one of the reasons the NCAA exists is because boosters can be, essentially like government lobbyists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the boosters that are funding NIL right now. It's the boosters that get all of those special perks and stuff like that for the season. And yeah, they run athletic departments probably more so than the athletic directors in a lot of cases.
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
Wasn't it? That's actually that was a part of why Rich Rod got fired, and they didn't give him a 4th year, was because of the boosters. The boosters wanted him gone.
Oh yeah. The last violation here is a social media violation. A staff member commented on social media last month in response to a verbal commitment by a transfer. Great news, they wrote, reposting an announcement. It was in violation of NCAA Rule 13.10.1.1, a bylaw that prohibits schools from commenting publicly about a recruit until he signs an aid agreement.
All right. I'd like to see the rationale behind that one.
Yeah. And so, okay, so I think we're in agreement here that these violations, aside from, I think you said the first one was actually because it's close to tampering, it could actually be serious. But I think we're in agreement, though, that these are just some, without being, it's almost like you have to be on the inside to understand why any of these violations would be considered serious.
Yeah, or maybe you just got to read The Athletic a lot. Which
I guess it kind of like we can even go back to when Ohio State's players were, selling tattoos.
Yeah,
or not selling tattoos, selling paraphernalia for tattoos.
Yeah.
And I think at the time we were like, okay, why is that a problem? And in a sense, it's a problem because not every player can do it, and that creates an unfair advantage. But it doesn't create an unfair advantage on the field, though.
No, it doesn't.
So,
and if another player is upset by someone selling their memorabilia, like if a Michigan player was upset about an Ohio State player selling memorabilia, like championship rings and stuff like that, well, then win a championship and you can sell the ring.
Right.
Like,
but the bottom line on this is, and this, now I'm going to go back to sarcasm. The bottom line on this is each one of these violations is a violation. They're supposed to know this. They broke these rules. Therefore, they cheated, and their answer to it was every single time, oh, I didn't know that was against the rules. I'm sorry. When does sensitivity training start? It's so smug. It feels like the coaches got in a room and said, these are the violations we're going to break. These are the penalties. We can do the time, so we'll do the crime.
Yeah. And it's and like John Wright here was saying, it might just be sleight of hand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, waiting until, I don't know, if the NCAA launches an investigation. See, that's the thing is I would say that I would wait until the NCAA launches an investigation, but they probably aren't going to, because there's nothing here, in my opinion.
Well, I think all of these are closed anyway. They've received the punishments and they've fulfilled them, and that's all over now.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't care because I think the NCAA is just a joke. These rules, for the most part, aside from the photo shoots with the kids and stuff like that, that can get weird. Like, I don't like that very much. I think that's really dumb. But all the other ones, I'm like, why is this a problem? Like, that's really dumb.
It's weird. I don't know. Anybody out there watching, if you have any thoughts on those violations, drop them in the chat. Let us know.
I was going to say, it didn't help them beat Michigan, so not a big deal to me. Whatever.
Like I said, it's like they said, we can do the time, so we'll do the crime, and they did.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not just saying this because I don't want to get a ton of crap from Ohio State fans that don't like that we went all. Oh, I said it again. I'm sorry,
man.
But I want to avoid the wrath of the Ohio State fans. I want to avoid their wrath, so I'm just going to say innocent until proven guilty. And if it were me in this situation, I'd probably be like, oh, I wasn't supposed to text him? Shoot. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Sam Hartman's looking downfield for Adrian.
Carter almost has a one-handed catch.
Almost.